The entire Bhagavad Gita is about two things: delusion, I am the body, and it's my body. These are the delusions. And the other thing is grief. Identity crisis comes because we are identified to wrong notions. Truth has no time associated with it, sat. But everything that erupts in sat has time associated with it. The reflection was not there, is there, and will not be there. If we really see our existence as temporary, a certain kind of freedom comes inside. Param Dhimahi Satyam Param Dhimahi Satyam Param Dhimahi Satyam Param Dhimahi Satyam Param Dhimahi. Jai Gurudev. So how's everybody doing? Good? Just checking in. Does some of this stay with you during the week, or you hear it and you feel engaged now and then it's gone after we click off? How many say it kind of lingers somewhere through the week? Somewhere it comes in and out. It's important, just to do. Right now we are doing some degree of Sharana, right? We're listening to the knowledge, and to some degree we are doing manana, contemplating the wisdom, the verses, the knowledge. But it's not enough. And then there's always the third step, nididhyasa, application to one's life. Right? It's important that we do that. That's what's happening for Arjun, isn't it? He's asking the questions, the Lord is giving him the answer, he thinks about it, and which then creates another question for him, right? He follows one after another. It's not just, oh, I heard it, and then, aha. There's some contemplation, because we know each question and it's connected to some degree. Of course, in the beginning, we realize Arjun says one thing, the Lord says another thing, and Arjun goes back and says whatever he wants, and he kind of continues with that. But now he's now ready to say, I have no other way but for you, Bhagavan, Lord Krishna, but for you to guide me. There's no other solution. It's good to go back to YouTube, and I think it was Tammy who shared just a few moments before, to be able to re-listen and sort of pause for a moment and think about what we're discussing and not just leave it. So just a reminder, it is there on YouTube for you and for anybody else who maybe cannot make it at this hour, but would want to, sort of engage and listen to the knowledge. All right, so just that much for now. I'm going to go back to chapter 2, and let's really start with verse 12. At least just go through it, and then we'll put it all together before we take up a new verse. All right, Mala?
Nattvevaham jatu nasam natvam neme janadhipaha nachaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayamatah param. In fact, there was never a time when I was not, or when you or these kings were not. Nor is it a fact that hereafter we shall all cease to be. देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्तिः धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यते. Just as boyhood, youth, and old age are attributed to the soul through this body, even so it attains another body. The wise man does not get deluded about this.
Okay, so you see how each sutra or verse follows. The sutra previously said, there has never been a time where I have not been, where these kings have not been, and in fact, you have not been. So it's not just me, Krishna, who is eternal. It's Arjun, you also. So overtly and openly, almost in the very beginning, Lord Krishna says, who I am is you. Who you are is me. Who these kings are is you and me. It's all one, without directly saying it. How Gurudev repeatedly says, no, I am in you and you are in me. We are the same. It's subtle, but it's very clearly already stated, because Bhagavan does not say, oh, I have always been, and therefore you, Arjun, are not the same as me. It's you and the kings and I. There has never been a time where you have not been, I have not been, where we will never be. That does not exist, right? And then follows the sentence that Lord Krishna takes him to, that, oh, okay, all of us are there. And he continues with the next verse, right? Go.
Matra sparshastu kaunteya शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखदाः आगमापायिनो नित्याः तां स्थितिक्षस्व भारत. O son of Kunti, the contacts between the senses and their objects, which give rise to the feelings of heat and cold, pleasure and pain, etc., are transitory and fleeting. Therefore, Arjuna, endure them.
Read the one before that.
Okay. देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्तिः धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति. Just as boyhood, youth, and old age are attributed to the soul through this body, even so it attains another body. The wise man does not get deluded about this.
Okay, I need you to keep following the connection, right? I have always been Arjuna, you have always been, the kings have always been. In fact, just like when you were an infant, an adult, and young, and old age, just like that, you that has always been, I that has always been, keeps migrating, if I may use that word, from one body to another body. And how easy is it? How simple is it? How natural it is? It's not there's some big drama to it. It's just the same way as you, who you are, is as an infant, as a young adult, and in old age, just the same way you, who has always been, who has never not been, I, the kings, we all simply just move to another body. And then comes the sutra. And when the senses come in contact with the object of the senses, sight, smell, touch, etc., when they come in contact with those particular objects, then what happens? Then duplicity arises. Listen, those first two verses are saying it's all one, and that one is eternal. It's always been, always will be, and it just keeps moving from one body to another, from one form to another. Till then, he's only speaking about oneness. And then, for the first time, he mentions duplicity. opposite values by saying when the eyes, when the ears, when the sense of touch, smell connect to, come in contact with the object, then heat and cold, craving and aversion, like or dislike, craving and aversion, resistance, push and pull arises. Now you have duplicity. Why is this important? Because at some point the verse is going to be about what is sat and what is asat. The first two verses are about that which never changes. Now he's saying heat and cold. You know, I know, what is hot now is not hot a moment later, and it was not hot a moment before. Can you see? He already said, me, you, the kings were before and now and later. Actually, you cannot even say before because that implies time. You cannot say after because that implies time. Has always been, has never not been are the words that he's using. There's no time in there. You cannot say once was and is now and will always be. It has been. It is existence. Is this point clear? And only then, only now at this verse is this notion of temporary, or what appears to exist, but at the same time is also not. It was not before the heat, but now there is heat, and it will not be later. Or it changes in how hot it is. It was cold, it is not cold now. So now he's separating sat asat. Now we're getting into what is lasting, what is not. What is, I should say, and what is not. In fact, even to say is not correct. Because the moment you say is, what are we saying? Existence. Are you catching on to this? I can say table is, table means there's two things. Remember last time I talked about that. We don't realize this. With every experience, with every object, there's always two. The name and form, the object, and existence itself, the isness, the prior two verses that Lord Krishna talked about. Isness, existence, and within existence is the table. And you recall that I talked about the vase and the room and so on, but we'll come to that. But for now, I need you to recognize, now we're moving into duplicity. He first establishes, why does he do that? Remember the verses before that, Lord Krishna said, don't worry about death. They're not going to die. There's no such thing as being alive also, right? He has to establish, they're not going to die. They have always been. That's why he starts there. He has to dispel the wrong notions with which Arjuna is operating. What is the wrong notion? That I am the body, that they are the body, and this is my body, and this is their body, but Dronacharya and so on and so forth are mine, so there's that me and mine connection. This is not, don't hear it hypothetically. Follow the sequence of it. He's afraid they're going to die and I will be alone. Which means the wrong notion is the very first thing Lord Krishna dispels by saying, no, they don't die. There's no birth, there's no death. I've always been, they'll always be, you'll always be. And then he comes to the senses. And senses are body. He's now leading towards the ephemeral. Clear? Okay. Wait, look at the other thing that again I want to remind you about. The entire Bhagavad Gita is about two things. Delusion. What delusion? We just mentioned. I am the body and it's my body. These are the delusions. This is a wrong notion we can call delusion. And the other thing is grief, shoka. These two things is the biggest wrong notion, and they are a vicious cycle. The moment we have body identity, I am this body and it's my body, what happens? Grief comes as a natural byproduct because there is loss, there is change. And when there is loss, what happens? Me and mine only increases. So the core of the Bhagavad Gita now, what makes samsara? It's not that it doesn't exist in the way we think about it. Samsara is this notion of wrong notions throughout everything. This is me, this is correct, this is permanent, this is not. And we have these wrong notions about everything. Identity included. And when there is a wrong notion about who one is, that's when we get into what we could call identity crisis. That's when we lose our swadharma. Arjuna has lost his swadharma, meaning what? His nature. He's a warrior. His nature is to fight. He's been trained for that. We've discussed this. But he's lost it because there's the wrong notion, I'm the body. He goes out of his nature. We all do that. When we're out of our clarity, when we get lost, okay, I am this body. So as a result of I am this body, mother comes into play, sister comes into play, daughter comes into play. Do they even exist? Does a daughter and a mother and a wife and a sister, do they exist? An aunt and a teacher, and do they exist? No. If you wanted, you could say the substratum of existence is a woman at best. But the other things don't really exist, but we identify those things as truth, then we get into identity crisis. Then, instead of being a wife to a husband, we take on a role of a mother also. Just like Arjuna is taking on the role of a Brahmin, and he's deciding to become a, advisor to Lord Krishna in the earlier part, and being sort of altruistic and philanthropy and all those kinds of things. Are you hearing what I'm saying to you? Identity crisis comes because we are identified to wrong notions. We lose swadharma. And when we lose swadharma, when we do that, we will take on other roles because it's a way to fill the gap of that identity crisis. We make the ego feel good. We make that false notion of who I am get stronger in us. Somehow we make it all right. Are you hearing what I'm saying? This piece is very, very important. Follow the conversation that is being had with Lord Krishna and Arjuna. So the root of samsara is delusion, wrong notions. I am this body and this is my body. This is the notion that Lord Krishna has to remove from Arjuna's mind. Only then can Arjuna say, I'm going to pick up this bow and arrow and fire, shoot. See that? And it's a vicious cycle. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? You cannot say either. In the egg is the chicken and in the chicken is the egg. Do you see? Which came first? Did the grief come first or did the delusion come first? They're interconnected. It's the chicken and the egg. Before even Arjuna went to the center of the battlefield, before asking Lord Krishna to go there, the attachment was already there. It was just not so much overt and upfront. So it seems like Krishna and Arjuna's conversation begins at grief, loss. When Arjuna says, I cannot do this, I cannot kill my own people. But mine came first, and then he started to experience the loss. Body identity came first. Or not, because before that was grief. So it's a vicious cycle. It's interconnected. Those two things are the root of samsara. It's not that samsara is, I'm married, I'm single, I have kids, I have a job, I don't have a job. That's not it. Are you with me? We have this idea, I'm going to leave everything and I'm going to become full-time, or I want to become a swami, or, everybody can grow their hair long, but being a swami is another issue. It's a whole different conversation. Yeah? Okay, maybe Divesh, you cannot grow your hair long. Perhaps he's just for those who can't see, he doesn't have hair on his head. Very important to really see how deeply our sense of identity is to I am this body and that is other body and this is my body. And from that comes the notion of me and mine. And the moment there is me and mine, there's also the notion of loss and grief and preserving your little identity and your little space. Yeah? Okay, continue.
यं हि न व्यथयन्त्येते पुरुषं पुरुषर्षभ समदुःखसुखं धीरं सोमृतत्वाय कल्पते. Arjuna, the wise man to whom pain and pleasure are alike and who is not tormented by these contacts become eligible for immortality.
We're back, right, to that same distinction. Pain and pleasure. Before the conversation was heat and cold, he first left it at the sensation level. Actually, this is what happens. This is your entire part 2 Art of Living Silence retreat, silence course. What happens? In that course, we're continuously observing the sensation. You'll hear Gurudev say, be with the sensation, hot or cold, tight or relaxed. Initially, senses connect with the object, and on a very subtle level, we start to have sensations. And based on our karma, based on our tendencies, we interpret those sensations as good or bad, positive or negative. Judgment follows behind that. And then we are lost in the experience. We become the experience. But what did Lord Krishna say? A wise rises above both. He's not disturbed by pleasure or pain. And then he becomes qualified for immortality. Going back to that verse, I have always been, you have always been, the kings will always be. There has never been a time where you will not be. Immortality. Recognizing, rising above. Now, the question should immediately arise in your mind. Well, okay, how are we going to do that? How am I going to rise above pain or pleasure? Does it not? How am I going to move past this heat or cold? Yes, as soon as I see something, if I want it, my body starts to heat up. If I don't want it, it gets contracted and tight and coldness comes. By the way, you do recognize these two sensations, right? In a craving, there is heat. I want it, I want it, I want it, I like it. Desire is a hot experience. You can think of it physically, but prickly, that's another way of saying heat also. Am I clear? And when there's sadness, what happens? The breath contracts, muscles contract, everything feels tight. That's how we have been understanding it. And you experience it in hollow and empty. So now he moves from the sensations to the emotions that we know. How are we going to get over it? That is where the sat and the asat conversation comes. Follow the sequence. Yeah, go.
नासतो विद्यते भावो न भावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तः त्वनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः. The unreal has no existence and the real never ceases to be. The reality of both has thus been perceived by the seers of truth.
Okay. Do you see? Because Arjun would have had that question in his mind, whether he asked it or not. That question should immediately arise in us. Well, okay, thanks for sharing. Contact, senses, object, hot and cold. You're wise if you get over both. Well, yeah, okay, how am I going to do that? How's that even possible? Because we're not saying that heat and cold do not exist. It is there. You do experience the hot and cold. You do experience what feels like a painful contraction or relaxation, correct? We all have that. So you cannot say, oh, it doesn't exist, this doesn't exist, it's false. No. We have to then go back to what is sat and what is asat. The dream appears to be. It is not that it is not. You cannot say it's non-existent because it is. How do we know it is? Every night we have dreams. It's not that it happens once. It's duplicated every night, every time we have a dream. And while we're having a dream, it feels very real to us. We believe that it exists. In fact, we even have an impact of the dream. Heart is beating, you wake up. In the middle of the night, it can wake you up, and sleep is also lost. You're sweating, you're wrapped up in, and it takes few minutes after you wake up to even say, okay, it's just a dream. So you cannot say it does not exist. But can you say it exists? It did exist. But you can't say it exists when you're awake, right? Similarly, and that is considered asat, false. That's what we're saying. Ephemeral, changing, temporary, if I can use that word. Yes? So what about the heat and the cold, the pain and the pleasure? They're just like the dream, ephemeral. Was happiness there before? It's there now. It might not be there in a moment from now or 10 minutes from now. Sadness, the contraction, the cold experience, the sensation. It was not there. It is now, will not be. This, if you know, that's what he's saying. This, if you know, then you rise above. Then you are considered a wise man. And the seers of truth know this. He's validating it. He's saying this, what I am saying, is not something that's just being made up. The sages from time immemorial, they have also said this. This experience has been had. Now, I think I told you this, one would struggle because the question to me is, well, wait a minute, am I just supposed to believe you that there is something that doesn't change, that always is, and all those things was here, and like just, I don't have the experience of that, so how am I supposed to say, yes, that is so? Do we have an experience of that? We don't. Some degree is there, but we feel, well, I am this body and I don't know anything about something else that goes. Yeah, I have some vague experience of childhood, adulthood, old age. Yeah, I do, but that doesn't necessarily convince me as much as my dream convinces me on a regular basis when I have it that it's real. Correct? So how am I supposed to know the truth? He's saying the seers have said it. He is saying it. Of course, it's Bhagwan saying it. He's saying the seers have said it. Yet, remember what I said. Sometimes to get to the truth, you have to go to what is not the truth, what is false. And the truth, this thing that is there in, just like in infancy, young, middle age, old age, and into the next body, it's not something that you see, touch, and feel. It is not the object of the senses. Remember, he never said that that is the object of the senses. It cannot be something you can identify, see, or touch, or feel. So to get to the truth, Vedanta, the system has always been neti. Not this, not that. And when you go through not this, not that, not this, not that, then what is left is the truth. And that will be the journey for Arjuna. He will go through one after another. Look, I've not read it, but based on how it's going, we can guess that that is the direction it will go to. Not this, not that. So again, sat is what? Isness. Isness. If I say chair is, there's two things. There's the chair and there is the is, the existence. We never notice the isness. We only ever notice the chair. Happiness between two other states allows us to recognize happiness. Sadness between two other states allows us to recognize sadness. Chair is, it's an eruption in the isness, like the wave in the ocean. Are you hearing me? If you take the emptiness, maybe I can say the roominess away, you would not see the chair. You see the chair because of the roominess all around it. Just like a reflection needs some reflective material, a mirror, water, something, a glass that reflects the truth. If I'm looking in the mirror, I am the truth. The reflection in the mirror is not. It needs support of something. Are you with me? To have the reflection. Time becomes the reflection of these objects. Because asat exists in time. This was something that really struck me. Listen to me. What did I say to you? Asat, that which is false, has a time to it. It was, is, and will. Past, present, and future is associated with that which is false. Are you with me? Yes? Truth has no time associated with it, sat. But everything that erupts in sat has time associated with it. The reflection was not there, is there, and will not be there. The moment the person, the individual, the object being reflected moves away. That object doesn't change. For this metaphor, think this way. It doesn't change. The surface being reflected is not changing. What is changing is what is erupting, the image upon the surface. Are you getting this? Do you understand that what is existence has no timeline associated with it? I'm born in 1962, and then there's a little dash, and she died in 2030, whatever. This is an appointment in life from 1962 to 2030. It is not life. Life is all the other things between this appointment. If today you had an appointment at 6 o'clock to watch Bhagavad Gita, 6 o'clock is just an appointment in what was before and what is after, and what was before always was, and what is after always will be. If I ask you, how was your day, and you had a 3 o'clock appointment, and that 3 o'clock appointment was not so good, and you had an 11 o'clock appointment which was good, and you say, it wasn't so bad, my 11 o'clock appointment was good, but the 3 o'clock one was not so bad. Have you now spoken of the day? Shake your head one way or the other. No. The day in that sense is the life. And in between the activity, what you did, the time in between is your appointment. So in the span of what existence, what is, the isness, my body erupting in 1962 and dropping off at whatever time, 20:30, whatever time it is. I made an appointment. Are you with me? This is not life. This is a time span. Life is within which Rajshree erupted and will disappear. Rajshree, the body, the person, the persona. And Alan, and Tammy, and Kajal, and just like the wave, and then wave, and then another wave, and then another wave. See, if we really see our existence as temporary, a certain kind of freedom comes inside. Then you make the most of life. You just live it instead of, well, I'm spiritual or I'm not spiritual, or I'm meditating and I don't need onion and I don't need garlic, and just live and enjoy and have a good time and be happy. That's why Gurudev would say, just be happy. But if you think 62 to 2030 is whole of life and all of existence, you will struggle like that. But if you see that you just keep erupting, wave, wave, another wave, some are bigger, some are fatter, some are smaller, but they all go to the shore and crash against the stones and disperse. And in this appointment, we're struggling to make it so amazing. I did this and I did that and I did this and I did that. It's one appointment in your day, in your week, in your month, in your year, in your life. We have not understood life because we keep measuring life within a span of time. But time, I think, is the darpan, is the mirror upon which everything exists. The chair is, Rajshree is. The chair will maybe outlast Rajshree, who knows? Like the mountain and the stone. But the flower is. A small little ripple goes back down. Mountain is. Remember when the trade towers came down? Of course, it's scary for 1,000 reasons, but we see these towers and there's a belief that they can never be movable, shakeable, they can't fall, we have this faith, we have this experience deep within us that it is. That it is who we are by our nature, but we impose it on things because those are the glasses that we wear. Inside of ourselves, we are in isness, existence. I am, period. And so everything I see, I am, I think it is. Until it comes tumbling down and then I get crazy, shocked. I see a building moving in an earthquake and whoa. Do you see that? Because we have imposed our own internal state upon things. That's why we fight change in a way so much. Because we are changeless. So everything that changes, like we're trying to keep it the same, but those things cannot be kept the same. Ephemeral, flower, gone, wave, gone. Some waves arise, in the middle of the ocean and they travel thousands of miles and they seem to exist forever, seem to exist like a very long dream or a very long nightmare. But what happens to every wave? It's shattered. But it loses nothing in a way. And in a way, the asat has a impetus of sat. The wave is part of the ocean. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm probably just getting excited about the whole conversation. But you have to really feel it and go, oh shit, yeah, I'm a wave crashing. That's it. That's all of my existence. You run on the wheel of, the rat wheel. You run. I got to do this in my life and do that in my life and do that in my life and my kids. Remember, all the roles I already said are asat. Doesn't matter. We play it 100%. Playing it 100% is not the problem. Getting identified to it, just like I am this body and it's my body. I am a mother and that's my son. And I'm a daughter and that's my mother. Getting attached to what appears to be but is not. Appears to be but is not is the problem. That is the challenge. You know, if you break it down enough, then the mind goes, oh my God, okay. So play, you play 100%. But if you take it so seriously, at the end of a life, you just become maybe a fatter rat, but you're still a rat. You know, rat race. What are you doing? I'm in the rat race. Oh, Didi, but you know, you can say that you're full time. Well, dude, I also have to eat and I also have to sleep. What do you mean? Look at how much Gurudev does and what he does. He's fully, quote, in samsara, quote, samsara, meaning things of life. But you will never find him identified to, I am the son and I am the brother and I am this. No, he knows he's not those things, and he knows what is the sat, existence itself, which has qualities. Are we clear? But it should be more than clear. You know, it's like some juices should flow. You should get super excited with this. Like, wow, okay, I think I deserve an ice cream. Salt and straw, chewy, gooey brownie ice cream for, it should make you alive and feel really like, awesome. Okay, who's gonna go out for ice cream? Like full of joy and enthusiasm. So don't listen to it with this, you know, okay, well, please. It's so interesting. To me, it's not just interesting. When you hear something that's ease, the whole system goes, oh yeah, you know? Okay, go.
अविनाशि तु तद्विद्धि येन सर्वमिदं ततं विनाशमव्ययस्यास्य न कश्चित् कर्तुमर्हति. Know that alone to be imperishable, which pervades this universe. For no one has power to destroy this indestructible substance.
I mean, we gave this example, but okay, there's water in it, but you can't see it. Okay, just imagine the space in the emptiness. I don't want to say space because space is also an element, right? The roominess in this vase. If I shatter the glass, did anything happen to the roominess of the glass? No. If I keep the glass, has anything happened to the roominess of the glass? No. The roominess outside the glass and the roominess inside the glass, are they separate? No. Did the roominess in the glass not exist before the glass? Did it exist? Yes or no? Shake heavily, one way or the other. Yes, that's right. With or without this glass, roominess, it exists. Read that verse again.
Know that alone to be imperishable, which pervades this universe, for no one has power to destroy this indestructible substance.
Look at that. I can destroy the glass, I can destroy the mountain, but I cannot destroy the roominess within which the mountain exists. Existence itself, I cannot destroy it. Roominess, in, out, around, always, ooh, but I only see the glass. And then I get stuck in it. And then, oh, my glass is bigger than yours and it's stronger and better. And I'm like, okay, no. Roominess, people can't do anything with it. It's because of the roominess that this is reflected. See? One day this will not be. Right? I mean, you do hollow and empty. You sit there, you observe. Okay, skin is hollow and empty. Not really, no, it feels solid. But then at some point you look and you go, yeah, when I put some lotion on my skin, it goes in. No, the air dried it out. No, it didn't. Some of it maybe, but it went in. See? Oh, okay. Nostrils are hollow. Yeah. Yeah, they are hollow and empty. I just ate. Yeah, it's hollow and empty. Oh, it's all space. You know, he says the body can be compressed into a matchbox. No, well, but look, when you cremate, you don't get ashes hardly this much. Yes? It's earth element. Earth element is changing all the time. Oh, yeah. Okay, space in me, around me, above me. Okay, just go to the beach sometimes or look out the window or whatever. When you try to attend to the roominess around you, you'll not be able to do it. We just lock into the object because the roominess cannot be seen. Hola, people, see what I'm saying? Don't go looking for God. It can't be seen. It's the roominess. You can go looking for the glass. Why? You know? You can't, oh, I had a conversation with God. I saw light and God came to me. No. Okay, go ahead, think that, but no. Subject-object relationship. I cannot see my own eyes, can I? I need a reflective material to see my own eyes. But I can have the experience of my own eyes, correct? They're burning, they're hot, I see well, I don't see well, I'm seeing glared. So that's an object. The one looking out. Did you guys do the exercise I told you? Look in the mirror, look at the eyes. How many did it? Don't you notice anything from that? You look, you don't move your eyes, don't move your pupil, and then all you see is awareness. Not see, but you have the sense of just awareness and the object. I can't even say that. It's not even like you have the sense, but there is, and then there's the thing. Ooh, Raj, you're very clear. I am just the best I can do for right now. But you look and you see that, and what if you are just the awareness? What if? Then water and fire and air and insults and honor and dishonor cannot do anything to it. You see? Then, even if it's for a moment, you feel that, you see that, then you go, well, what am I being a chicken poo-poo for? I'm going to go for it. Enough with this stuff. Then you stop being a little, I have an interview tomorrow, I don't know, Didi, I'm so scared. Just go in there. The guy has 2 legs, 2 arms, just like you. You know, he has to get into his pants exactly the way you do, sits on the bowl exactly the way you do. Just go in. Go, talk, do what you need to. Then something happens. Then you live the qualities that are of the roominess. Freedom, if you want, because this is free. It's not contained. It's not localized, right? Are you guys interested in this, or am I just like exciting myself with this whole thing? It's so important, you know? And look, how long did it take us to learn to brush our teeth? We would hold the brush like this, and then mom would correct it, and you know, you put the toothpaste on the toothbrush and the whole toothpaste you squeeze and the parents flip out because you're wasting it, and you put a little bit and then you put this whole thing. Have you seen those commercials? Like, who puts that much toothpaste on their toothbrush? But anyway, so fine. And then you eventually brush and it's everywhere else but on your teeth. Then 2 years later, we know how to brush our teeth. Constant daily, twice a day reminder. Like this, we have to again and again and again ponder, contemplate, and just ask, like, okay, so who really am I? What is it of me that appears to be but is not? The body appears to be, but tomorrow it's another body. 40 days from now, it's a completely different body. Everything has changed. Oh, the thoughts, the emotions, they appear to be very real because they disturb us, do they not? When we have an emotion, when we have a thought, we're rattled by it and whatever. But then we get identified to, Didi, I don't know what to do. Guruji, I don't know what to do. I have terrible thoughts. I'm a bad person. Which thoughts? Where are they now? No, they were there. Oh, but is it there now? And he does that so beautifully. How about now? No, now I feel good. Oh, it's magic. They're ephemeral, the thoughts and the emotions. And the moment we put our attention upon it, we are now awakened. It disperses. And when we are awakened from the wakeful state, we will see all of this just like the dream that we have when we're sleeping. I suppose that we can call transcendence. When we are awakened from the wakeful state, when we have the awakened state from the waking state, then we will see this also just like the dream. It was very real, it is very real, but it was not and will not be ephemeral. Claro. Yes? Are your prana levels like rising up a little bit? Like, oh yeah, okay, I really deserve a brownie today. I'm gonna, yeah, just go enjoy it. Brownie is not good for me. Just relax, enjoy it, make it part of the bliss and finished. I think this part of what we have to do in this journey is to find our freedom, not get so bogged down with things. Play the game of life, not even the game, play. Because even games today have a direction, a purpose, a goal, isn't it? The moment you have a game, you have an opponent and you have to beat the opponent. But in a play, it's just that, a play. No? Okay, go.
अन्तवन्त इमे देहाः नित्यस्योक्ताः शरीरिणः अनाशिनो प्रमेयस्य तस्माद्युध्यस्व भारत. All these bodies pertaining to the imperishable, indefinable, and eternal soul are spoken of as perishable. Therefore, Arjuna, fight.
Now look, if we didn't understand the previous verses, someone who doesn't know the rest of the knowledge, let's say, and they were just to see this verse, all these bodies, don't worry about them, they're perishable anyway, everybody's gonna die, so go fight, they would say, oh my God, this is the big scriptures of India, they're advocating war and violence and aggression, this is the big thing, isn't it? When this philosophy, at some point you could imagine it would have traveled out of India to wherever it went, further east or further west or so on, if they would just have seen this, their, savior, if you want, their vision of enlightenment is saying, Come on, all these bodies anyway, they're dead people already, basically moving about, doesn't really matter. It's imperishable. They're gonna die anyway. Your body decays just like everything decays. Just shoot. Get rid of them. No, it would seem like he's advocating war. And people would also justify, well, if Krishna says, anyway, all the bodies are perishable and it doesn't really matter, so what's the harm in me killing someone? One could go that far, isn't it? There can be immediate misuse of knowledge, but remember, this statement comes fight after which statements? First, you have the understanding of what is ephemeral. You have the understanding who you really are, that you are this existence encapsulated in different sizes of glass jars and moving on from one to another. When you hold this truth, only then do you come to this state. These bodies are perishable. See? So this question, like a Hitler, he's not coming from that place. He's not saying, I also can die, they also can die, so let's all just die, or it's all okay. That's not it. It's, I don't want to die, kill all of them. That is not what Lord Krishna's lesson is. Your body is not you. Your body is also perishable. It will also go. They will also go. He's not saying hold on to your body and get rid of the others. That is not what is being advocated here. It is very important that we be clear about this. Are you hearing me? Say, this is not it. If the person who wants to kill says, well, I also die, they also die, everybody dies, and you really have that as your basis, you're in a different state. It's not preserve me, I want to survive over others. I don't want to die. If all bodies are perishable, so are you. You are also not the body as they are also not the body. From that state, it's a different conversation. Right? Continue. One last one.
Yayenam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhau tau na vijanitah nayam hanti na hanyate. Both of them are ignorant. He who considers the soul to be capable of killing and he who takes it as killed. For verily, the soul neither kills nor is killed.
You know, this is what we're talking about, right? Can you ever destroy the roominess? If you put a bigger jar or a smaller jar, will it get destroyed? No. Does it even exist? The roominess within this jar, does it exist as a separate entity? Not everybody's moving their head. They're a little perplexed. No way. We have this idea, you know, ooh, I have my soul. And this has its own soul. And Pramod has his soul. And it's not like that. It's just like this roominess. There is no separateness. There is just oneness. And it's just that there are jars that arise here and there. You know, sometimes on a table you see 20 different little things. It's the same roominess. It's not, I have my soul and this thing has its own soul, you know, the roominess. And it's not like that. See, some of you look a little like, oh, because you had this notion that every individual has their own little individual soul, right? No. No. It's when it's encapsulated, we call it Atma, the roominess in the jar. And when it's not encapsulated, we call it Param Atma. That's all. It's again a wave and an ocean. Are we here together? you know? Oh, I have my own little soul, you know. And when we think that, then the question arises, oh, how the heck there's 9 billion people, you know? Are there 9 billion souls plus 84,000 other ones and the trees and, you know, it's not like that. Every object has erupted in Mahakal, the great time that we can call existence. Are we still together? Okay, let's read one more.
न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. The soul is never born, nor it ever dies, nor does it become only after being born. For it is unborn, eternal, everlasting, primeval. Even though the body is slain, the soul is not.
It's so beautiful. Look, like, did the space, I say the space, I mean the roominess in this jar, did it take birth when the jar came around the roominess? No. If I shatter the glass, the roominess that was encapsulated, quote, encapsulated in this jar, did it now die and then emerge back into the roominess? No. You know? If you start to think separately, then we start to get confused. Why I'm harping on this for myself, of course, and for all of us, is Lord Krishna's direction is to take us, Arjun, out of the wrong notions. And our wrong notions of I am this body, it's my body, and I live or die, all these wrong notions are so deeply ingrained in us. So you cannot expect to hear it once or twice or 4 times. I cannot, we cannot. It can happen, but only by grace of God and Guru that becomes a realization. But until then, through our self-awareness and some degree of purusharth, manana and nididhyasa, contemplation, we again and again, by reminding ourselves, oh, the roominess in the jar never took birth, and the roominess outside of the jar never was touched or destroyed. It just appears that way. Oh, okay. When we do that again and again, what are we doing? We are in some level purifying the mind, purifying the emotions, purifying the heart, so that the receptacle becomes ready to receive that grace if and when it's determined. Are we clear? Wisdom, knowledge, reading these scriptures, doing the sadhana that we do is all a preparation to empty the vessel. You know, to purify the emotions, the mind, the heart. That's what it does. And it doesn't happen, you know, we brush our teeth, like Gurudev says, every day, twice a day. Like that, we do our sadhana, our practices. You remember in the video by Gurudev, chapter 2, very clearly he says, everyone speaks about the existence. Everyone gets thrilled about the existence. But who has seen, who has lived, who has recognized, who is exuding, emulating that, that's a whole different conversation. And only meditation, what does meditation mean? Purification of mind and emotions and heart In that sense, emotions, that is the only thing we can do. That is the process of meditation. And it's not just the practice of meditating, but again and again and again, somehow connecting back, even if it's for a glimpse of a moment. Oh, I am moving in this existence, and I will be gone and it will still be here. Who will be gone? Oh, the body will be gone. Who came into birth? Where was I before the birth? Somehow these questions then start to erupt in our system. We're not in a hurry for an answer because we cannot get an answer. If we find an answer, then it's again an object. No? So we play and we lightheartedly, do what we're doing. Gossip, as Guruji says. Gossip. Yeah? Okay. I think that it's 7:15. That's probably more than enough. I kept, today my whole exercise was, can I see not the object but the roominess? And sure enough, there's such a notion of object as the thing that exists. That second piece is forgotten, the isness. The object exists in existence. That piece gets very quickly lost. Okay, are you awake? Shake a little bit. All right, so it's 7:15. We can, let's just chant and close, and then we can take a couple of questions if there are any. Eyes closed. Satyam param dhimahi. Satyam param dhimahi. Satyam param dhimahi. Take a long breath in. Breathe out. Jai Gurudev. When you're ready, you may open the eyes. Okay, there are 3 questions. So we'll take 3 questions and then Saurabh, go ahead, please.
Jai Gurudev Didi. So, you said that if the soul is not in a body, that means it's Paramatma, the other one is the Atma. So, when the soul leaves the body, when the soul leaves the body, it goes with impressions, desires.
No,
Do they
no.
get?
No. You're jumping the gun. Impressions we call Jiva Atma, not Atman. Jiva. Jiva means a bundle of impressions called mind. Right? There's consciousness, and there is body, and there is mind also. Mind is the persona, the Jiva Atma, the impressions. bundle of impressions. Like when you go to sleep, there, all the bundle of impressions, that which you think you are, kind of gets into a little bubble. And then when we wake up in the morning, it wakes up. Who you are, I'm a man, I'm rich, I'm poor, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a daughter, I'm tall, short, black, white. All that stuff disappears when you sleep, right? But it didn't leave. It's just that it like folds into a little bubble, if you want to see it that way. And then in the morning that opens. This is jiva. But there is awareness that exists that's separate from the body and the jivatma. Am I clear? Okay, so next question. Let's see, who has the next question? Poonam. Oh, go.
Hi, Didi. Jai Gurudev.
Jai
At
Gurudev.
at the very end, you mentioned, so your practice today was to notice the roominess from the object. Can you tell me a little bit more? How do you do it?
I couldn't do it. I wish I could tell you how to do it. I was just sort of aware that, okay, there is a mirror in which I'm being reflected, but you can't see the mirror. It's not like, imagine a lake that's so big that you cannot see the borders. And things are being reflected. And when you look, you really believe what's being reflected is real because you cannot see the borders.
Yeah.
So I couldn't see it. I couldn't tell you how to do it. I was just aware, aware, if that's the right word for it, since this subtle sense of there's existence and then there is the name and form of what exists in existence. That's all I guess I could say.
Okay. That helps. Okay.
Kusha.
Hi, Didi. It seems as though the body is just an accumulation of matter. And when I'm in the waking versus the dream state, I'm just occupying two different bodies. Like in the dream state, also, I'm able to either I'm creating a body in that space, whatever that is. I'm just trying to.
But in the body that you have in the dream state does not have earth element, right? It's not a solid body. It's a subtle. It's like the mirage. There's no actual water. There's the appearance of water. It looks very much like water. When you're driving on a road and it's very hot and you're driving and up on the hill, you see like, oh, there's water there. Then you get closer, there's no water, but it was very clear that there was water. So the dream body is not the same body as the body of waking state.
But what is to say that this is also not a dream body?
Well, that's the whole point. That's why I said when you awaken from the waking state, you will see this also as a dream, exactly like the dream when you sleep. That's exactly why Ashtavakra sits in his court and says, hey guys, wake up ministers, listen, I feel the hunger now and I was hungry. Was that a dream where the kawa came and snatched my bread while I was starving and a poor man? Or is this a dream? And then the whole Ashtavakra takes place, right? So, yeah, what is to say that this is not? Because I'm repeatedly saying what Lord Krishna is saying to us is that it's the wave is not really there, but it is there. Just like in a dream, you are there, but you're not really there. Oh, Niranjano. Yeah, that is the point.
Yet there seems to be a significance of having a human body to attain liberation.
Well, no, the significance of having the human body apparently is the story goes, Paramatma, all the roominess was hanging out like this, like the roominess, move me away, you know, the roominess, move the wall away, move the chair away. It was just there. And it was like, dude, I am so bored. I need to do something. You know, he was just hanging out like a bedsheet spread across the universe, like in a fancy hotel without a single crease or a wrinkle. Just this tight, beautiful, crisp. Imagine, but spread across. And then it was like, well, this is nice, but, and you know, it just rolled over, like when you rolled your posture, and then you get a crinkle or a crease. Waves started to erupt in that very still ocean. And then it was just like daydreaming, you know, oh, and then I could become, you know, and I'll create Kushal, and then I will create these two people to get married, and then I'll have her ask this question, and this is like this play, you know, and then it's like, and then there's going to be Alex, and Supriya will be listening with Alex, and they will, and then it's a the dream was so incredibly rich and detailed and just so beautiful. Like when AI, for instance, it's so amazingly created that you forget that it's AI. Like we are AI, you know? And oh, it forgot itself. See? So the Saptarishis were created, you know, and this Guru Tattva was created to make sure that it doesn't have forgetfulness, because that's there. The quality of forgetfulness is there. We forget, don't we forget? But we are created, we are roominess. What's in the roominess we can have. We cannot have what's not in the roominess. You see? Whoa. Last, okay, there's 3 more questions actually. Alex or Supriya, whoever has that question, go ahead, please.
I think
Go ahead.
we both have, I think, one question and one comment. First of all, thank you. This is amazing. So I was gonna ask, when you mentioned that Arjuna in his natural state, he was a warrior. And then when he lost that, then this other identities took over to kind of fulfill that gap. And this happens to us also. So I find throughout the day, like all these identities just kind of come over the other. Sometimes they overlap each other. I'm a father and a worker and a husband sometimes at the same time. So I'm trying to understand, how does that play in terms of this natural state that is supposed, is that just being aware of the existence? Is that the natural state?
Oh,
Because
but okay,
he's a warrior, so
Arjun in that moment,
okay.
in the battlefield, what is his dharma? What is his nature? He's a warrior, right? He's in the battlefield, on the ground. He's chosen to be there. So his dharma, his nature is to be a warrior. And in fact, he's been trained as a kshatriya. This is his nature. He's gone to many battles in his life also. He has killed also before. But now the delusion, the wrong notion of I'm this body, it's my body, those are mine, we are going to die, is creating grief, which is creating more delusion and more attachment to the wrong notion. So we're talking about attachment to the wrong notion. If he would simply be in the role of I'm a kshatriya, I've been trained for this, all that we could do, we have done, now I'm here and this moment is of battle, there would have been no question, right? He would have fight. So while you're working, let's say, you know, so in that sense, I said, you are a male at best. Like his kshatriya is his ground level. We say you're a male. We don't want to get into like permanent, impermanent. Understand the metaphor at best right now. We just say you're a male, right? And then you play different roles in your existence of a boss, a husband, a father, a brother, a son, etc. Now, to the degree you get identified with one of them, you will, like Arjun, get confused, not think clearly, use justifications and reason and, support your reasoning to do what it is that you may or may not want to do. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And we do this all the time in our life. This was the first two sessions that we made sure to really go through again and again in different ways to realize that Arjun doesn't want to play the role of a Kshatriya, so he suddenly is the grandson. Oh, my uncle, my great uncle is there, so he plays that role in the middle. Suddenly, oh, he becomes the student. In the battlefield, there's no student there. In the battlefield, only a warrior is there. But he doesn't want it, so he says, what's the point of a kingdom? What's the point of having all this wealth? Anyway, none of it really matters. He becomes, philosophical and wise and appears to be wise and gives all kinds of brilliant reasons and excuses why he shouldn't do what he doesn't want to do. He made the decision first, and then he's now supporting everything with reasons and stories and justifications. When we drop the role that needs to be in the moment, we do exactly the same thing. We set it up for ourselves to avoid or go towards what we have chosen, one or the other. But at any given moment, it's just one. But if you're very attached to that role, I am a father, it'll be very difficult. When you don't want to do what you don't want to do as a father role, you'll suddenly become, the advisor and the uncle and the boss and the whatever else that you can think of. Follow me? This is really, this piece, this question, Alex, I appreciate the question because this we have to remember again and again and again. Don't you see what I'm saying? Because it's very easy to get lost, and that's what we do out in the world. Look, this happens in the simplest of ways. We ask a question, we're supposed to be a student, but then we don't like the answer. So we, maybe he didn't understand. I asked Guruji, but he didn't let me finish. I don't think I told him the whole story. You suddenly are not a student anymore because you don't want the answer. So you've already decided I'm not going to accept that answer. Then you set up the reasons why I need to ask the question again or go talk to someone. And you go to Didi. Okay, Didi, I have a question. You know who Didi is. You know how she's going to answer. But then you don't like the answer. So then you say, she's a little too much. I'm afraid of her. No, you're afraid of your own shadow. I have nothing to do with it. You see what I'm saying? We are very... somebody else will say, no, she's very loving. Somebody else, no. Yeah, because you don't like the answer. Nate, go ahead.
I just wanted to say thank you so much. This is my second week joining. I just went through Art of Living course. It's my 10th day doing the practice. I'm absolutely loving it. My question was, I love the Sanskrit part of it. If we progress, are there any courses in Sanskrit that Art of Living might provide, or I just was curious?
You know what? I think there are. What I will do is ask Mala to share about it next week because she, I know, Mala is the one who's chanting the Sanskrit. Different things, it may not be just broadly Sanskrit, but there are different programs or classes around it. So what is available right now or where he could find information, if you could find that out and then share with us. And Nate, in case we forget, do remind us with that same question again, okay?
Again, I love your teaching style. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And in case you want to hear the previous ones, just go to the YouTube and hear the ones that you missed. I think they're valuable just in terms of how we're discussing and moving forward. All right. Welcome to the family, Nate. Very nice. Very happy for you. Vicky, go.
So, did you say that there are no individual souls?
Did I say that? Yes, I did. Meaning it's not like my soul and your soul. It's just the isness around which this vessel was built. Like it's not individual space in here and the space out here, and then another jar would, it's not like that, right? Do you
So
see?
then is all the space just soul?
Yes, that's what we call Paramatma, or what we call the divine force.
So it's all one big soul and pieces of it get plucked off and go into an individual body and then go back to the big.
There's no pieces. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not pieces. It's
But okay, if the soul then gets reborn, if the soul goes from body to body to body,
the soul has no body to body to body. What goes from youth to old age, within between to next body, is the jiva. We haven't gotten to that yet. Is
so,
the
but
Atma.
why
It's
then?
the impressions. Let me put it to you this way. Forget the word jiva. It's the impressions that go with us. Like when you go to sleep, your impressions, whatever your strongest impressions are, I am a mother, I'm strong, I'm good, I'm healthy, whatever those strong things. I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm white, I'm a woman, whatever the impressions are that are there, they disappear when you go to sleep, right? You don't know who you are, who sleeps next to you, where you are, whatever. But when you wake up in the morning, those impressions are active again. Those impressions move from childhood to birth, to next birth, to old age. That moves. If you notice as a mother, you have, let's say, 2 children, or maybe your sister's children, or nieces, or nephews, or whatever, you see that children are very well kind of developed, if you will, when they come into the world. One is, mom will say, even while the baby's in the womb, this one is a spunky one. This one is very tough. This one's going to be a go-getter. And oh, this one loves sweet. This one doesn't take no for an answer. Oh, this other one is very gentle. He's very balanced, right? Or this one doesn't let his or her sister get away with anything. This one lets it go. Those impressions is what moves from one vessel to another. What illuminates, listen, what illuminates the impressions, which are inert in and of themselves, is the roominess, is the light of lights. But we're very far ahead of ourselves, I think.
When you
Right.
say the soul leaves the body at death and then gets, then
I never said that. The soul, as in Atman, never leaves or doesn't leave the body. If I shatter this glass, does something leave outside from what's in the glass?
no.
No. And if I put another glass, if I open up a bag, the space in the bag, did it go into the bag?
No.
No. No.
So all this time being told that when the soul's ready to come back, it gets born, it comes down and takes another body, another form. That's not what you're saying.
Listen, there's 3 things. I'm going to repeat it one more time with the caveat that we're too far ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
But let me repeat it again. There is the body that we're
Yeah.
clear of, the jar, right?
Yeah.
Then there is the roominess in the jar. That is the Atman, the spirit, what you are, I think, calling the soul. And then there is what is in the space, the water. There's water in there. I don't know if that's visible, but can you see?
Yes.
Yeah? That water is a third thing. called jiva, or impressions of the mind, habits or patterns or impressions or beliefs, assumptions. Those things carry into another jar. Is that clear?
Transported how to the another jar?
When the time is right, I'll tell you a little story. One day, Gurudev was looking out of an airplane, and it was raining or whatever, and he was looking, sitting there, said, I remember I went into the water and then into the stem and in the kernel of rice, and then the rice was eaten, and then I don't know how it gets transported. The impressions, just like when you sleep, where are the impressions? Your impressions, your patterns, your habits, where are they? Huh?
They're resting.
Exactly. Like in a bubble, where they're just resting. And then when there is a body, meaning when you wake up, they're there. In the same way, the impressions are at rest. They're resting, in a bubble, so to speak, like a little balloon. And then when the circumstances align in a very specific way with the strongest impressions that could be lived out, then it's there. Like every time you go to sleep, it's a death. Every time you wake up, it's a birth. Every morning is a new birth, a new beginning. Every night is a death and the end. And you remain still. You come and go back and forth. Middle of the night, if you're deep in sleep, you don't know what the heck is happening in your house. You don't know who's sleeping next to you. You don't know. Somebody's taking things out of your cupboard and whatever. You don't know anything. You're just there, suspended at rest. And then, like that. For right now, what we know is there is something. Let's forget the name and the title. There is something. Just like when we are an infant, when we are a young child, a teenager, adult, old age, something remains constant, and again, similarly, it appears in a new infant body, a change of clothes, as Gurudev says. No, that much we know, and that thing is existence itself, or consciousness, or divine force, or Paramatma, or Atman, or soul, whatever we want to call it. Leave aside the name, but this is the much that Lord Krishna has told us so far. And you will always be, I will always be, that roominess will always be, So Antonia, you one more, okay, three more, Florence and then Pooja, go.
Well, thank you very much for everything. This has been bringing a lot of force in my life. I can't even explain. So for the past few weeks since we started this, I've been paying as much as attention that I can on my different roles. And one that is really hard because it's really every day is that I work with the same thing as my fiance. And I've been I've been doing a lot of effort to separate things, but she's so focused on work, and she loves to share with me, and it's really hard for me to put myself in. No, now I'm just listening to work, letting out my brain just go navigating to everything that I have to do at work, and
Get to
just
the
be a part.
question.
Huh?
Get to the question.
How can I break someone that I love with ability, not to mix her roles because it entangles me everywhere.
You cannot, you see, so now who is listening to, who is asking this question?
The
Student,
wife.
the wife. See, Arjun is supposed to be a warrior, but he's talking as a grandnephew and as a student of Dronacharya and as a kins to whoever. You are not being a student, you are being a wife. The only thing you can do is, how do I take this for myself so that I can live from a different point of view or perspective? We can't fix somebody else. We don't. For that, we have prayerfulness. But if we were talking relative speaking, like if I'm no longer, we're just chit-chatting, I'd say, well, Antonia, why don't you just say, when we come home, we put so much time and effort and energy into this work. So for the next 2 hours, we don't discuss this. Give me a chance to unwind. After that, if we need to talk, we can. And Gurudev would say, time it. And let's just give 15 minutes to that so that you can empty out. That's one approach. Second approach is, if it's not being heard, you just have to know that you're not there to give an answer. What it indicates is a strong attachment, identity, because you're not just able to let her vomit it and finish, that kind of thing. You're trying to solve for something that she's sharing. Do you see? And she's just asking for an ear. So that would be the other response to you. If not, 2 different rooms.
No, but really, how do I deal with not
I just
like
told you. Stop. I just gave you the answer. I am not living there. You guys have to learn to solve life's problems by yourselves. What I'm saying to you is, it's not possible to do beyond that. You can stop personalizing what she's saying. You are getting attached to what she's saying. You're taking on a role that you need not take on.
that I don't know how to get out of that. That's my question.
But I just told you, you have to stop personalizing it, attaching such importance to what she's saying. That's the whole point. How you, beyond this? Okay, so let her keep talking. She just needs to emote, so let her have her place to just talk and share. And then you can draw lines and you can say, this is too much for me. We need a break from this. It's called simple communication. How? There's no how. You have to simply put a limit. Hey, listen, 15 minutes a day to recap the difficulties of the day. 15 minutes. But that to only 2 hours after I have had a chance to unwind, because I'm a different nervous system. I don't do well with this. I'm here to listen, I'm here to support, but I can't dig into this 2 hours after work for two more hours. I cannot do that. But you want to please her also, so you're not drawing a line, Just lovingly, with respect, you have to draw a line. She's an adult. You don't have to be attached. You're becoming a caretaker that's older than her, as if she's a child. That's why you're getting attached. I just told you, you're taking on a role that you need not do. I think I deserve an award for that. Okay, Florence. Florence, go.
Okay. Our mind and karma also part of the delusion.
Part of the
Delusion.
illusion.
Asat. No, delusion.
Illusion.
Asat.
Asat.
Yeah.
Yep. And also those 2 words could be interchangeable.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. Easy enough. Pooja, go.
Didi, once I was traveling with Gurudev, and that time, this person asked Gurudev, how can I be like you? So now I am trying to get that answer. You know, what he said was, he said, you cannot be like me, you can be a part of me. So today was something like when you said the roominess and the insideness, you know, so I can be the insideness, I can be a part of the roominess is what I was
You don't
realizing.
have to can be, you are.
Yes.
You are. You don't have to can be. It's not something to be achieved. This is the thing. Who we are does not need to be achieved. We already are. We simply have to shatter the glass.
Yes. So this is what struck me today, Didi. Like, this was amazing. And another thing, Didi, it's not a question, it was an experience that I would like to share. So the other day, like, my husband is frequently traveling, and sometimes I get annoyed by his touring. And the other day, you know, I was like telling him, see, I'm so concerned, you shouldn't be doing that. And then suddenly I realized there's so many people who are traveling who've got a job where they are traveling every day. But then I don't have a problem with that. So what my problem I realized then was, he's my husband, and that is why I have the problem. And that
That's
shifted,
right.
you know, Didi, that shifted my approach to that. And like you said, see, I am not playing my part, I am a partner. So I forgot that and I became his boss and was trying to, you know, yes, that was the best thing that happened, Didi. And then again, you know, initially it used to happen, okay, somehow I used to get out of it, and then this lingering thing in the mind, chow 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 chow, something is going on, you know, supporting all that. Like you said, you support your ego, like saying how I am right and my concern is right and all that. And then suddenly, you know, that moment when I felt it is mine, that is what is giving me the problem, I was out of it. And the next moment was so much in present. Then I said, then why am I thinking about it? It's gone. So I should be in the present moment. I should enjoy myself now. You know, that was the best thing I'm experiencing, Didi. Like, the things that were bothering me just because of the shift in the roles, I did not know what I was doing. They've lightened so much, and coming back to the present moment has become so easy. Thank you so much for this, Didi. Thank
That's
you so much.
right. That is the key, the key. You can adopt me now, This is perfect. At least because that's the whole point, right? Some kind of freedom comes in that, and some kind of then you are happy. The choice to be happy is in our hands in those moments. It doesn't mean
Yes,
the ups and downs of life are not there, but then we choose to be happy, you know?
true.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Didi. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing. Everybody else, you're good? No?
Yeah.
Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev. See you next week. Bye-bye. Bye.